Hi, it's John Vu, and this lesson is on Car Wash by Royce from Trinity Rock and Pop Drums Grade 4. Okay, so sheet music in the book, you've got the song title, top of the page, and beneath that you've got the style or genre of the piece. So this piece is a disco piece, so it's specifically 70s disco. And then beside that it says a quarter note equals 114, so that's the tempo of the piece. It says 114 quarter note beats per minute. So a kind of sort of moderate speed for disco. And then we've got the first bar of music, so you can see the percussion clef there at the start, just letting you know it's drum notation on the stave. And then we've got the time signature, 4/4. So 4 at the top, 4 beats in the bar. The 4 at the bottom tells you the note value of a beat is a quarter note. So you've got 4 quarter note beats in the bar. And in that first bar there, you've got a multi-bar rest. And there's a number 4 above it, so we rest for 4 bars. Okay, so as the drummer, we just rest for the first 4 bars of the piece. Then we've got a double bar line at the end of that bar there, and then we come into the next bar, which would be bar 5. And in bar 5 we've got a quarter note rest on 1, we've got a quarter note on the bass drum on 2, quarter note rest on 3, quarter note on the bass drum on the 4. So we're just playing the 2 and the 4 on the bass drum, and beneath that you've got the dynamic there, MF, short for mezzo forte half loud. Okay, then in the next 3 bars you've got 1 bar repeat, so we're just repeating bar 5 there, where we're playing the bass drum on the 2 and the 4, and you can see number 4 in brackets there, just letting you know it's the 4th time of playing that bar, okay, just to help you keep track. Then in the next line, starting at bar 9, you've got the same thing on the bass drum, so you're still hitting that 2 and 4, and now all we're doing is we're adding an 8th note upbeat on the hi-hat, okay? So on all the ands, the 8th note ands, those upbeats, we're going to be playing the hi-hat, and there's a little circle above the hi-hat note, just letting you know we need to open the hi-hat. Okay, to get that disco sound, okay, that constant open hi-hat. So we're going to open on all the 8th note upbeats, and you can see the little plus signs there on the downbeats, which means we close the hi-hat on the downbeats. So we don't play the hi-hat on the downbeat. You can see the 8th note rests on the downbeats, but you want to close it with your foot, okay? So you want to make sure you're opening on the upbeat, closing with your foot on the downbeat, but not playing your stick on the downbeat, okay? Your stick's only playing those upbeats where the hi-hat opens. So in that bar, right hand is playing 1, 2, 3, 4. Okay, so you want to keep that going, those upbeats, and then the bass drum playing that 2 and 4. Okay, so you've got 1, 2, 3, 4. Okay, so get the coordination down. Nice and slowly first when you speed it up. So 1, 2, 3, 4. Okay, so get familiar with it. Make sure you're developing the skill of being able to do it. Okay, you should be comfortable opening those hi-hats on all the upbeats, which is obviously very common in disco. And then after bar 9, you come into bar 10, 11 and 12, where we got 1 bar repeats. So we repeat bar 9 3 times to play it 4 times in total. And you can see the number 4 there in brackets above the 4th time of playing that bar, above bar 12. And then we come into the next line, so bar 13, where we've got this similar thing going on the hi-hat, but now we're adding in the hits with the right hand on the downbeats as well. Okay, so we're going to play 8th notes with the right hand, 1 and 2 and 3 and 4, and closed hi-hat on downbeats, open on the upbeats. So the right hand's playing 1, 2, 3, 4. Bass drums now playing all the downbeats, so 4 on the floor, okay? 1, 2, 3, 4. Okay, again, very common in disco music, so we got 1, 2, 3, 4. Okay, then the next bar, bar 14, you're playing the same thing, but we're adding some more notes in there, so some more notes on the bass drum. Okay, so we got a bass drum on the at of 2 and also the and of 3. So we're still hitting all the downbeats, but we've got those 2 extra places as well. So let's take a look at that first extra note on the a of 2. Okay, so there's a 16th note on the at of 2. So the bass drum on the downbeat of 2 has become a dotted 8th note, which lasts for an 8th note plus a 16th note. Okay, so we're playing that 16th note on the at of 2. So that's going to go in between the hi-hats. So if we take out the opens first of all, just to get that bass drum in there, as well as the other bass drums on the downbeats, we got 1, 2, 3, 4. Okay, and the other one is on the and of 3, that 8th note on the and of 3. So adding that one in as well with no open hi-hats. 1, 2, 3, 4. Okay, so you want to get that down, get that bass drum pattern down, and then we add in those open hi-hats on all the upbeats. So we got 1, 2, 3, 4. Okay, so putting those two bars together, bars 13 and 14, sounds like this. 1, 2, 3, 4. Okay, so you want to make sure you get those down nice and slow, get comfortable with playing that right hand rhythm. So that's like the ostinato. Okay, then the bass drum pattern's changing underneath it. So you need to make sure you're really comfortable with that hi-hat pattern and that bass drum isn't affecting that hi-hat pattern. Okay, you need those open closes really tidy. Okay, we don't want any sloppiness. So disco music, really neat and tidy, especially that open hi-hat sound, that really kind of gives it that authentic disco sound, that clean open hi-hat and closed hi-hat. Okay, so make sure, spend some time on that groove, that 2-bar groove there in bars 13 and 14, and gradually speed it up as you get more comfortable. Then we've got a 2-bar repeat, so we repeat those 2 bars, and then we come into the next line at bar 17, we've got another 2-bar repeat, and then another 2-bar repeat. Okay, so that 2-bar groove in bars 13 and 14, we repeat once, we repeat twice, and repeat a 3rd time. So we play it 4 times. And then we come into the next bar where we go back to just playing the downbeat. So it's the same as the first bar of a 2-bar groove. And then we got a change up in the next bar, which is bar 22. So we're playing the same thing up until a downbeat of 2. So you've got 1 and 2. That's a dotted 8th note. Then you're playing the out of 2 on the snare drum with the left hand. Then you've got 3E, 2 16th notes on the snare drum, right, left, kick for an 8th note on the end of 3, and then a flam on the downbeat of 4 for a quarter note. So that can be a right flam or a left flam on the snare. So that bar 22 sounds like this. 1, 2, 3, 4. Okay, so putting those 2 bars together, bars 21 and 22 sounds like this. 1, 2, 3, 4. And at the end of bar 22, you can see a double bar line there. So that brings us to the end of the first section of the song. Okay, so we're going to put the 4 lines together now, the first 4 lines of the piece. So in these 4 lines, you're really building the energy of the song. Okay, so you're starting in line 1 with just that bass drum on the 2 and the 4. Then we're bringing in those open hi-hats on the upbeats in line 2. Then we're bringing in more hi-hat notes on the downbeats as well. And also more bass drum notes playing all the downbeats. And also those extra notes, extra bass drum notes in bar 14. And then we're finishing with the fill. Okay, so we're just building energy throughout. There's no backbeat on snare, just hi-hat, bass drum, and then finishing with that snare drum fill. Okay, so let's try the first section of the song, those first 4 lines. And now we'll try that with the backing track, okay? So with the music. So we've got a 2-bar counting, and then we've got a 4-bar rest. And then make sure when you come in bar 5 with those bass drums, you're coming in on the 2 and the 4, okay? So don't come in early on that 1. Make sure you rest on the 1, come in on the 2, rest on 3, in on the 4, okay? Build the energy throughout. Be nice and clean with the open hi-hats, okay? Solid with the bass drum. Remember, this is disco, okay? So bring in all your... bring in the playing style of disco music as you're playing this. Okay, so let's try first 4 lines with the backing track. And now we're coming to the next section of the song, which starts at bar 23. So you can see it says strings theme in a box there. So this is where the synthetic strings come in. And we've got a disco groove here. So open hi-hats. We're playing 8th notes on the hi-hat, opening on the upbeats, just like we did in the previous section. But now we're adding in that backbeat on the 2 and 4 on the snare drum. And in the second bar of the groove, in bar 24, we're playing extra bass drums on the upbeat of 3 and the upbeat of 4. So that 2-bar disco groove sounds like this in bar 23 and 24. 1, 2, 3, 4. Okay, so get that groove down, add some speed to it as you get comfortable, keep those open hi-hats nice and tidy, and then we've got a 2-bar repeat, so we repeat that 2-bar groove, and then coming into the next line, which starts at bar 27, we've got another 2-bar repeat, so we repeat that 2-bar groove again, and then the next bar, we've got the same first bar of the groove there, and then we've got a stop on the 1, so we play hi-hat, snare drum and bass drum on the 1, rest on 2 and 3, so we've got quarter note rests on 2 and 3, rest on the downbeat of 4 for an 8th note, and then play an open hi-hat and a snare drum on the upbeat of 4, that and of 4. So that bar, the final bar of the first page, bar 30, you got 1, 2, 3, 4. Okay, and that and of 4 and the upbeat there with that open hi-hat and snare drum picks you up into the next section of the song. Okay, so we'll try bars 29 and 30. We've got 1, 2, 3, 4. Okay, and we've got a double bar line after that bar, brings us to the end of the strings theme section. Okay, so we're going to put that whole section together now. Flowing disco groove, tidy open hi-hats, and just make sure we get a nice clean stop on the 1 of the final bar of that section, and then that open hi-hat to pick us up into the next section. And now we'll try that with a backing track. So now we come into the next page and also the next section of the song, which starts at bar 31. So you can see it says verse in the box there. So now we're on to the first verse of the song. We've got the same groove that we just played in the previous section, but there's no crash on the 1 there to accentuate the start of the groove. Okay, so we've got a 2-bar groove again. We've got another 2-bar repeat and another 2-bar repeat. So we're playing that 2-bar groove in bars 31 and 32 3 times. And then in the next bar, which would be bar 37, we've got the first bar of the 2-bar groove there, and then we've got a fill in the next bar, which is bar 38. So we're keeping that bass drum playing all 4 downbeats, that 4 on the floor, and we've got snare drum playing the upbeat of 1, the and of 1. Then we've got the E of 2, then we've got 3 E and 4 and-a. Okay, so the rhythm of the snare drum is and E, 3 E and 4 and-a. Okay, so along with the bass drum, that bar sounds like this. 1, 2, 3, 4. So collectively with the bass drum, the rhythm is 1 and 2 E, 3 E and 4 and-a. Okay, so sticking left on the and of 1, left on the E of 2, right, left, right for the 3 E and then right, right, left for the 4 and-a. 1, 2, 3, 4. Okay, so playing that alongside the previous bar, so bars 37 and 38, we got 1, 2, 3, 4. Okay, so where you're finishing the groove in bar 37 with the open hi-hat on the upbeat 4, you want to close it at the same time you play the bass drum on the 1 of bar 38. Okay, so you want to keep that nice and clean. And after that fill, you've got double bar line there. So with the end of that section, the verse, we come to the end of the verse. And just to bring your attention to what it says above that fill bar there, it says vary fill on repeat. So we're going to repeat this part, so when we repeat it, we're going to vary it. But for now, we just play what's there. Okay, so let's play through that verse now. And now we'll try the verse in time with the backing track.
Ooh, you might not ever get rich, but let me tell you, it's better than digging a ditch. There ain't no telling who you might meet, a movie star or maybe even an Indian chief at the car wash.
So now we come into the next section of the song, which is the chorus, which starts at bar 39. So we got a disco groove again, so 8th notes on the hi-hat, opening on those upbeats, just like we've been doing in the previous sections, but now the bass rhythm's changing. Okay, so we got quarter notes in bar 1 of the groove, and in the next bar of the groove, which is bar 40, we got a bass drum on the and of 4. Okay, that upbeat 4. Then in the next 2 bars, we've got similar grooves. So the first bar is the same, just hitting all those downbeats. And then in the next bar, which is bar 42, we've got a bass drum on the upbeat of 2 and the upbeat of 4. Okay, so we'll try that whole line. The first line of the chorus, bars 39 to 42. So keeping all 4 downbeats on the bass drum. And every second bar, we're just adding some bass drum. So in the second bar, adding just 1 bass drum on the upbeat of 4. And in the second bar, we're adding 2 bass drums on the upbeat of 2 and the upbeat of 4. So that line sounds like this. 1, 2, 3, 4. Okay, then coming into the next line of the chorus, we got the same 2 bars we just played in the first 2 bars of the chorus. Then in the next bar, we've got the first bar of the 2-bar groove, and then we've got that stop again on the 1 of the final bar of the chorus, rest for beats 2 and 3, and then play that upbeat on the 4, open hi-hat and snare drum, okay, just like we did at the end of the strings theme section. Okay, so those final 2 bars of the chorus sound like this. 1, 2, 3, 4. Okay, so the same as what we played at the end of the strings theme. Okay, so you can see the end repeat sign there at the end of the chorus. So that's going to take us to the start repeat, which was at the start of the verse. Okay, so finishing there, bar 48 is the end of the chorus. Let's try and play the whole chorus now. Put that together. Keep that flowing disco groove and just make sure those extra bass drums are really solid and don't interrupt the flow, and nice sounding open closed hi-hat. Okay, so let's play the whole of the chorus. And now we'll try the chorus in time with a backing track.
A movie star or maybe even an Indian chief at the car wash, working at the car wash, yeah. Come on and sing it with me, car wash. Get with the feeling, yeah, car wash, yeah. Come some of the work gets.
And like we said, at the end of the chorus there, we've got the end repeat sign. So that's going to take us back to the start repeat sign at the start of the verse at bar 31. So we play through the verse again, which would be verse 2. And in the last bar of the verse, which is bar 38, we saw it said vary fill on repeat. So as this is the repeated time through the verse, we can vary that fill in bar 38. Okay, so I'd recommend keeping that bass drum playing 4 on the floor in that bar and then just changing the rhythm that you play on top of it, okay? After that, we go into the chorus again. So we play through the chorus second time, which should be chorus 2. And then we come into the next section of the song, which starts at bar 47. So above bar 47, it says work and work, which is the lyrics of the song at that point. So when you play it with the backing track, you'll hear those lyrics and you'll know exactly where you are. Okay, so it's just these pointers to help you keep track. So we got a different groove here in bar 47. It's a 1-bar groove. We've got the same rhythm on the hi-hat, so those 8th notes opening on the upbeats. But this time we've got a different bass drum rhythm. So we've got a bass drum on the 1 for a quarter note, snare drum's playing the backbeat on 2 for an 8th note, bass drum on the upbeat of 2 for an 8th note, then we've got a quarter note on the 3 on the bass drum, quarter note on the snare drum. Okay, so because we've been hitting all of those downbeats on the bass drum, sometimes you can kind of automatically play it, okay? So when you come out of the chorus, the second chorus, and come into this section at bar 47, just make sure you're really conscious of what you're playing and you don't just carry on playing those 4 on the floor. So make sure you're really aware that you're changing the groove into this section. That transition can catch people out. Okay, so that groove in bar 47 sounds like this. 1, 2, 3, 4. Okay, so you want to get that down nice and slowly, absorb the rhythm, make sure the rhythm's not affecting the open hi-hat, just like we've done in the previous grooves. And then for the rest of that line, we've got 3 1-bar repeats, so we just repeat that groove and 3 times to play it 4 times in total for that line. You can see the number 4 there above the 4th time of playing it. Then we come into the next line, which starts at bar 51. We've got another 3 1-bar repeats. We play bar 47 another 3 times there, so that's 7 times. We've played it from the start of bar 47 to bar 53. And in bar 54, we play the groove for the first half of the bar, and then we got a 2-beat fill. Okay, so the 2-beat fill is just 16th notes, 3 E-ander on medium tom, 4 E-ander on the floor tom. So you can just play that as single strokes. So that bar 54, sounds like this. 1, 2, 3, 4. And again, you've got that open hi-hat on the upbeat of 2 there on the groove, and then you're going to close it when you hit that downbeat of 3 on the medium tom, okay, for that part. After the fill, you can see a double bar line there, so that brings us to the end of that section. So we're going to put that together now, okay, so we're going to go from bars 47 to bar 54. And now we'll do that in time with the backing track.
Well, those cars never seem to stop coming. Keep those racks and machines coming. My fingers to the bone. At 5 I can't wait till it's time to go home.
And now we come on to the bridge, which starts at bar 55. Okay, so for the first bar of the bridge, you've got a syncopated rhythm on the crash cymbal. So we've got a dotted 8th note on the 1, a 16th note on the out of 1, which is tied to an 8th note on the downbeat of 2, and then we've got an 8th note on the upbeat of 2. So we're hitting the 1, the out of 1, and the and of 2. So we've got 1, and we're playing those crash cymbals with the bass drum as well. Okay, so just those hitting those crashes and basses in the up to the end of 2. We got 1, 2, 3, 4. Okay, and if you've got 2 crashes, you can hit right side, right side for those 3 crash notes. So we got 1, 2, 3, 4. Okay, so you want to make sure crash and bass drum right in unison. Make sure it's really neat and tidy. And we hold that crash on the end of 2. So you see that tie on there. So we just let that note ring. We've got a quarter note rest on 3. And then we play the downbeat of 4 ride and snare drum in unison, and then an eighth note on the ride cymbal on the upbeat 4. Okay, so putting those in as well. So we'll play the whole bar now, bar 55. 1, 2, 3, 4. And in the next bar, we've got eighth notes on the ride cymbal, and then just a simple rhythm. So we've got eighth notes on the bass drum on 1, snare drum for quarter note on 2, eighth notes on the bass drum on 3, snare drum for quarter note on 4. So we're going to play those 2 bars now, 55 and 56. We got 1, 2, 3, 4. Okay, and then we've got a 2-bar repeat, so we play those 2 bars again. We've got another 2-bar repeat, so we play the 2 bars again. And then we've got a fill at the end of the bridge. We've got 2 16th notes and an eighth note on the 1, so that'd be 1 E and, right, left, right on the snare drum. Eighth notes on the 2 on the bass drum, so that'd be 2 and. Then we got 3 E and on the snare drum, and then 4 and is on the snare drum. Okay, so it's 1 E and, 2 and, 3 E and, 4 and. So it sounds like this: 1, 2, 3, 4. Okay, so sticking right, left, right, kick, kick, right, left, right, left. Okay, so that's the fill at the end of the bridge. So now we'll put the whole bridge together. And now we'll try the bridge in time with the backing track.
At 5 I can't wait till it's time to go home. Hey, get your car washed today. Fill up and you don't have to pay. Come on and give us a play. Car wash.
And then we come into the final section of the song, which is another chorus. Now for this final chorus, which would be chorus 3, you play exactly what you did in the previous 2 choruses. Okay, so you know what to do, and then we finish that open hi-hat that we played on the upbeat 4 in previous sections, and it says choke above it. There's also an accent, so we need to hit it with more emphasis, more force, and the choke means we just need to make sure we choke the sound, okay, so we don't let the note ring. So we don't want, we actually want to choke it, so we want to stop it with the left foot, so close the hi-hat. Okay, so hit it with emphasis, more force, more stress, and just make sure you choke it. Okay, choke the sound. Okay, so that brings us to the end of the piece now. So we're going to link up the whole piece, go from section to section. So remember, it's disco music. Keep it neat and tidy. Make sure you've got real control on that hi-hat pedal, okay? It's really consistent, that open hi-hat sound, and it's really tidy, okay? Neat and tidy. Keep that bass drum really solid. Snare drum playing back beats really solid as well. Clean fills, okay? So just keep everything clean and tidy. Loads of energy. It's real upbeat, happy vibe in this song, so portray that in your playing. Okay, so let's work through the whole piece, flow from section to section at the song tempo, 114 beats per minute. And now we'll try the whole piece in time with the backing track. Okay, so remember this is disco music, so you've got to keep it really clean and tidy. Really make sure you lock in with the other musicians on the track. Okay, make sure the tempo is consistent, so be really rock steady with that tempo. And just make sure you've got that control of the left foot, so you've got a nice, neat, open and closed hi-hat sound for the groove. Okay, that's really going to drive the feel of the music. So it's happy, it's upbeat, so really portray that in your playing. Okay, so let's have fun with this track. Really enjoy it, really feel the music. Let's play it with the backing track.
Let me tell you, it's better than digging a ditch. There ain't no telling who you might meet, a movie star or maybe